But first, people across the globe are mourning the world's longest reigning monarch. Britain's Queen Elizabeth II died peacefully at Balmoral Castle in Scotland Thursday evening, surrounded by members of the royal family. She was 96. Her eldest son, Charles, is now king. He is 73 years old. Mark Phillips starts off our coverage with a look back at Queen Elizabeth's tremendous life and legacy.
For a woman who was not born to be queen, the public outpouring of affection for Elizabeth during the celebration of her 70th year on the throne was a tribute to her and to how well she had done her job. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor, Queen Elizabeth II, reinvented the British monarchy and may have saved it. Elizabeth was already 10 years old when another royal drama led to her becoming heir to the throne. In 1936, her uncle, Edward VIII, abdicated to marry the American divorcee Wallis Simpson, and the royal line shifted to her father, George VI, and so to her. The young Princess Elizabeth was already a public favorite.
I am sure that you are often thinking of the old country.
During the Second World War, she had worked to raise the country's morale.
To make the world of tomorrow a better and happier place.
And she had also served as a volunteer in the war effort. Her marriage to Philip Mountbatten, an anglicized member of the deposed Greek royal family, gave a war-weary country something to celebrate. And the children the marriage produced, first Charles and then Anne, secured the future. Elizabeth's coronation in 1953 was the first ever to be televised, and it began a reign with a singular purpose.
My whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service.
But the royal ride was sometimes bumpy. The stability and continuity the monarchy was supposed to provide began to look shaky as one by one the royal marriages broke down around her. Her sister Margaret's, her daughter Anne's, her son Andrew's. They all ended in awkward divorces. None was uglier than the breakup of Prince Charles and Diana Spencer. The long public unraveling of the marriage of the heir to the throne seemed to shake the very foundations of the royal household. And if that household ever came close to teetering, it was in the period following the shocking death of Diana in that Paris car crash. The national outpouring of grief seemed to highlight the emotional gap between the Queen and her people. Elizabeth did much to repair the damage with a single bow of the head to the passing coffin of a popular princess. There would be other challenges, one of the most serious centering around the wife of one of Diana's sons. When Prince Harry's biracial American wife, Meghan Markle, complained of mistreatment by palace officials, the couple renounced the royal life and moved to California. When Elizabeth's husband, Prince Philip, died, she was left alone. In 7 decades on the throne, Elizabeth redefined the monarchy, remade it for a more modern, less deferential age. And in the process, she became not just the Queen of Great Britain, she became, in a way, Queen of the world. Mark Phillips, CBS News, London.
For more, let's bring in CBS News senior foreign correspondents Charlie D'Agata and Holly Williams. Both are in London. Holly, let's start with you. What's the mood outside Buckingham Palace and across the UK right now?
It's interesting, John. I was at Buckingham Palace for several hours earlier today, and then I came out here to Windsor Castle, home to kings and queens for over 900 years. Look, it's not unexpected that the Queen passed away. She was 96 years old. She'd been in poor health, but many people I've spoken to seem quite shocked. Some said they just can't imagine anyone else being on the throne in this country. She's been queen for so long. You know, she was a very small woman in terms of her physical stature, but she really was a giant, a tower towering figure in this country. Some would say that she almost single-handedly shored up support for the monarchy as an institution, not because of what she said. She didn't say very much. She was a woman of few words, at least in public, but because of what she did. She was widely regarded as quiet, reliable, steadfast, and simply, a servant of the people. And during her 7 decades on the throne, she became an iconic figure. She started out as a fresh-faced 25-year-old mother, left as a great-grandmother, but in many ways she didn't change very much. What she wore didn't change very much, just as who she was didn't seem to change very much. What she represented didn't seem to change very much over the years. And visually, her trademarks were known all around the world. She loved big hats. She liked bright colours. She always wore sensible shoes and carried a utilitarian handbag. And she was nearly always surrounded by a swarm of her beloved corgi dogs.
So, Charlie, with that history and the country mourning Queen Elizabeth, what are the plans for the funeral and memorial services?
Yeah, well, John, here at Buckingham Palace, there's been this outpouring of emotion. People have been coming by the thousands to lay flowers here through the rain, to take part in what's going on here. And I think that is an indication of what we might expect in the next 10 days or so. So the Queen will remain in Scotland for the next few days through the weekend. We understand that she will then be brought back down here to London. King Charles, as we know him now, will make his first televised address tomorrow. And then we will have the Queen lying in state for a number of days, 4 or 5 days, here in London. And then, of course, there will be a state funeral. And as Holly had pointed out, how popular this Queen is and has been, we expect large numbers to take part in what's going on here at Buckingham Palace, through the funeral procession, and then she will be buried, she will be interred at Windsor Castle, where Holly is, alongside Prince Philip.
Well, and Holly, speaking of Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, when I think of the last chapter of the Queen's life, it's that period between his death in April of last year and now. They were married for 73 years. How did his death in April affect her health?
Well, in short, we don't know the answer to that because Buckingham Palace doesn't share very much information about the Queen's health. They never told us what the underlying health issues were that may have led to her passing. And in fact, the first indication that there were serious issues came just today. Hours later, it was announced that she had passed away. But certainly at that funeral of her husband, Prince Philip, last year, there was an outpouring of public sympathy. She looked so old. She looked so alone because of the pandemic rules. She wasn't allowed to sit with any family members. And certainly since then, she has looked very frail indeed. And yet, at the Jubilee celebrations for her 70 years on the throne this past summer, she didn't just come out onto the balcony of Buckingham Palace and greet her people. She stole the show because she pre-recorded this video skit, very witty skit with Paddington Bear. And then just this week, on Tuesday, she fulfilled her constitutional duty to meet the new Prime Minister of this country, Liz Truss, just 2 days before she passed away. And in fact, those are the last images that we have of her.
Charlie, you mentioned now King Charles, at age 73. He's king in the United Kingdom. What happens next for him? And give us the nickel tour of how you think his reign will differ from his mother's.
John, this is where it gets difficult, okay? Because you and I both know we need to separate, I guess, the Queen, who has been an immensely popular figure here, and the monarchy. So, especially now, the Queen has been this popular figure. There's been a tremendous amount of support. She's been this head of state that has been able to steer this country through some of the most difficult situations that it has been through in the past, let's face it, 50, 60, 70 years. But there is a lot of skepticism about the monarchy in itself. We are headed into a deeply challenging economic climate. It doesn't mean that the people who support the Queen necessarily support the monarchy. So I was about to say Prince, King Charles has a challenge ahead in keeping the popularity of the monarchy in tune with what's going on in the United Kingdom. He's always been part of climate change. He's always been attuned to what's going on in terms of the government. But now we are facing, in my recent memory, the most challenging situation that this country is heading into. And for a queen who's been a figurehead of this country, you know, the head of state, somebody almost universally adored, Charles then, statement is, you know, heavy is the head that wears the crown, never more poignant than in the next few days, weeks, months, because Charles is king and he takes over a hard act to follow and in a difficult political, economic climate in this country. So he's got an uphill battle. It will be interesting to see how it unfolds in the weeks and months ahead. But this is the situation that he finds himself in, while the nation mourns the passing of his mother and their monarch.
Coming on stage at a very difficult time indeed, Charlie D'Agata and Holly Williams in London, thank you both very much.